So so
Wow.
it's
That's huge.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. And it disrupts your endocrine system. It really causes, so many ailments and cancers. There's so many studies that are coming out right now, and it's really alarming.
Right.
And even children, babies, embryos are exposed to these microplastics. So it leads to a lot. It leads to a lot of harmful.
The thing is, which is very fascinating, is we got to this point in just 30, 40 years. It's not too long ago, but it started all happening this one. So what are the solutions? What are the regulations that we have to introduce in the fashion industry so we can stop this, or at least reduce these numbers, and have a better environment or better product?
The solutions are we hold the solutions as human
Hmm.
beings. We hold the solutions. Like my brand name is DNA Sustainable Threads, and I truly believe that our DNA as human beings, we hold the solutions to everything.
Hmm.
And
Right.
by the power of our pocketbook, our money, we definitely could change the industry, because this industry did not get to where it's out of control on its own. it was
Hmm.
it was because of the manipulation and the brainwashing of these brands, fast fashion brands. But it was the consumer that kept buying, and they saw something there. They were like, "Oh, they want more. They want more. They'll pay more. They'll pay for more." So so if the consumer pulls back and starts saying, "Hey, I don't want that. I don't want to keep buying," it comes down to the consumer. So one of the things, although it's not the consumer's fault, and just make sure that that's clear, it's not the consumer's fault, because they've been manipulated. It's been really just awful what the marketing for fast fashion has
Yeah.
done for the consumer. But if there's a silver lining for the tax tariffs, I would say it would be that it's driving these fast fashion brands to, pay higher tariffs, and so they're not able to make as big of a profit. And from what I understand from my colleagues that are across the pond, in the UK, because they don't have those regulations, they don't have the,
Hmm.
not the regulations, but the tax tariffs.
Okay.
They're seeing like Shein and Temu and all these other fast fashion brands take off, because they can't do it
Mm.
here in the United States, because there's
Right.
the taxes are so much higher. So that's why I'm saying, if there's a silver lining to the tax tariffs, like, I mean, it would be that the consumer is starting to shift more away from fast fashion, because
Right.
it's more expensive,
Right.
and they're starting to thrift a lot more. They're starting to not buy as much clothing. So
Right.
I hope that this is just the beginning of what slow fashion can become.
Right. I mean, I agree with you, and I also believe we can't fully blame the consumer because, uh,
Yeah.
of course, we can educate them and we can build more awareness and we can be more conscious the next time we buy something. But I believe if we just reduce the supply chain, or if we put the regulations for the big corporates, then if we're not getting something, we gonna be, not be consuming as that much, or we'll be, having a stop on that.
Yeah, and that is something that is happening now. Like,
Mm.
when you think about the regulations that have already started, like in France,
Okay.
they're imposing fast fashion brands.
Exactly.
They're
Yeah.
they're starting to regulate them, and they're
Hmm.
having these really high penalties
Yeah.
for their overproduction and not being responsible with keeping their business circular.
Right.
And the UK actually saw that yesterday, that they also passed something recently
Mm.
too.
Okay.
And the one thing that's happened in the United States is, there is a bill that passed last year, SB 707, and that also it's the Textile Recovery Act, and that is something that I'm extremely excited about. I'm involved with,
Okay.
and that is to make these fast fashion brands accountable for their system, and not having circularity implemented into their business DNA. So they're going to be penalizing them like $50,000 a day for every time they do not have, those policies in practice in their
Wow.
business. Yeah, that's a lot
That's
of
a lot.
money.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm hopeful that they will reach out to individuals as myself, who could provide those services to help them, to assist them,
Right.
to implement sustainability and circularity into their businesses, so that they can
Exactly.
become, efficient, and also not get penalized, not get those
Hmm.
fines, those
Absolutely.
very high fines.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, of course, we care about consumer, but they're, more. careful about their profits, so they would have to do something about this thing, you know.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So yeah, so
Right.
I'm happy. I mean, I'm happy where it's going. You know, I do see the industry becoming regulated. It's going in that direction. How long it's going to take, I'm not sure, and also how much harm are we still going to be causing the planet until all those regulations are in place. So it's really, really, really important that the consumer knows this, and that they know that they have the choice to make this shift a lot faster
Exactly.
than, because the one thing that I do know from working in fast fashion and being an OG from that
Hmm.
era, is the fact that they will not, and I know this firsthand because I would have these conversations with these owners, and some of them still are, you know, running these businesses. They are not willing to change unless they have to.
Yes.
If the consumer forces them to, they will. If the
Yes.
regulations force them to, they will. And they have
Yes.
told me before, when I used to work with them, if there was regulations, they would follow it.
Right.
But since there's no regulations and the consumer is still allowing them to do it,
Right.
that's why they're able to produce the way they are, the
That's
way
what's
their production is.
exactly. That's the point that I was about to I was making, that we need some regulations. Of course, we can be more conscious next time, but we need those. We definitely
Yeah,
need those, because if
they're
they
not going to
don't
do it on
care,
their own.
yeah,
They're not going to
right,
do it like they're not going to do it on their own.
right. I mean,
I mean, for anyone to think that they have the consciousness or the care for the for humans, you know, to be sustainable and to have a healthy planet, it's just not going to happen for them.
even if they
It comes
do,
down to the profit.
right, even if they do, it's a very, very hard choice to make, let's say,
Yeah,
because there are
yeah,
so many, because you're putting extra burden on your shoulders. You have to look for so many other things to be, follow these regulations or your values into that, right?
yeah, for sure. Yeah,
Exactly.
so I'm excited about what's coming,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
I'm also excited for the consumers, because the consumers are really starting to get activated, and they're very
Exactly.
excited. They're very excited to be part of the change.
Right. I mean, that's the whole idea of this Zayshin webisodes too, to build the awareness, to let the people be more conscious the next time they buy something. First of all, hopefully they don't buy something, they use whatever they have, or repurpose or recycle that what you do, or exactly the thing.
Yeah,
If they have to, just be more conscious about those
100%.
decisions. Right. Clementina, one more thing that I think about, how important it is to have the ethical practices along being sustainable as a brand.
How important is it? It's
Yeah,
everything, you
how
know.
important it is.
It goes hand in hand. I mean, even I
Right.
mean, you could be a sustainable brand that's using, you know, organic materials, that's
Mm-hmm.
natural dyes,
Right.
but if you're just not being ethical, you know, in your manufacturing, your production, you're not treating your workers properly,
Right.
then you're not a sustainable brand. I don't
Right.
care how good your materials are, or how it's overall, it's the whole picture, you know, it's the whole story.
All right.
You have to have it all, you know, the ethical, the production, the manufacturing, all of it has to go. It's a circular
Right.
loop, you know.
I,
So yeah, and there's been a lot of issues with that too. I mean, that's a whole nother subject, you know, you
right.
have you know, workers that are being exposed to these chemicals, these harms. You know, you have these blue toxic rivers that are,
Right.
or I should say black waters, you know, in other countries. You know, you have Indonesia, you have you know, places throughout the world, you know, where fast fashion brands manufacture,
Hmm.
and they completely destroy the environment around them, around these cities, and exposing these the people that live there, you know, with
Right.
all these harms. So yeah, there's a lot of unethical practices that are part of fast fashion. So it's not
Right.
just the production, the overproduction, it's also
Mm-hmm.
the unethical.
Right.